Hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we are taking a look at Loki Season 2. Premiering in October, Loki Season 2 has us following Loki, no shit, as he tries to fix the timeline's branching, which is a result of the death of He Who Remains. Meanwhile, he still tries to find his purpose. Going into this, I had hope, because Loki Season 1 was one of the best MCU projects that we've had, and with the state of Marvel, this seemed like the saving grace for what we really needed in Marvel um right now, because Secret Invasion wasn't good, Marvel's looks meh, and there's just a lot of stuff going on at Marvel that's here or there. So let's it start off with um let's just start off. Where do I start off with? Because I genuinely love this season so much. The development that it does for Loki and what it does for the MCU is just phenomenal. Tom Hiddleston gives his best performance here yet. Loki has some of the greatest character development in all of the MCU, alongside Thor, which is, funny considering Thor is the brother of Loki and all that. I think what they've done with Loki, what they've done with this character ever since he was finding out that he was a frost giant in the first movie. Ever since he was, let me see, can I bring this more into frame? Like ever since he was trying to find out what his purpose is. He has one of the best stories in all of the MCU. And Loki season 2 sort of acts as a conclusion to it. I don't think he's done with the character yet, but what they do with his character here is great, and it's just this show's just cool. This show is so cool. Like, FYI, I'm sick. Just letting you guys know that right off the bat. So yeah, look, this show is it's just cool. It's just a really cool show with the things that they do, the visuals, the cinematography. I get a lot of Wes Anderson vibes from this show. It is I've actually not really seen a Wes Anderson movie, but I know his sort of aesthetic, right? I know sort of the thing, the way he shoots things, the way he does stuff. I could tell that this show pulls a lot of inspiration from Asteroid City, for example, or Fantastic Mr. Fox. I vibes with this show. It's comfortable. It's like it's a comfy sort of vibe, but it's so uneery. The grainy filter on this show helps. I don't know if that was just the fact I have a shitty TV, or it's the filter. The cinematography and visuals are so beautiful in this show. Again, the way things are shot up, the things and all that. And also the characters. I love the characters. Owen Wilson continues to do great as Mobius. Later in the season, they do some fantastic things with his character. And Mobius seems like a cool kind of dad that you would want to have. Like, whoa, Loki, what are you doing here? B-15 is given a lot more time alongside Casey, and OB or Ouroboros, played by Ki-Hugh Kwan, he's so lovable. He is just so charming, lovable, and you can just feel how excited Ki-Hugh Kwan is to be playing in this role. This guy is a national treasure given to the world because he still feels like a kid. Honestly, he still feels like the kid from the Goonies or Short Round or whatever. And I think he deserves a role like this because, wow, you can tell he's just so lovable, the nerdy side of things. And I think what they do with Sylvie's character is great, but it feels a bit degrading. If that, I guess the best way to put it is that she seems sort of selfish. Like she always is contradicting and going what Loki says, and it's all that, and I don't know. Jonathan Majors returns for his third and possibly final role in the MCU. I will go into much more depth in that in a minute. He plays Victor Timely, the guy who we saw at the end of Quantum Mania. Oh, by the way, this show actually answers a question I had there. So Sylvie killing He Who Remains planted variants of him throughout time. So that's why Kang was in the quantum realm around that time. So I might have misunderstood something, and that's where I was confused. But yeah, I think Victor Timely is such a sweet character. It's weird to think that this guy is technically supposed to be a villain, but what they do with him in this show is, I think Victor Timely is such a charming guy. He's so innocent, and you'd never really think that he is supposed to. I think he's supposed to become He Who Remains, unless he is just a variant. That sort of they do some really cool things with him, and let's just say there's a certain scene in episode 4 that really like um Victor Timely also proves the insane acting range that Majors has. He's playing like 3 different versions of what is technically supposed to be the same character, yet he kills every single one of those characters. The over the top and out there He Who Remains, to the calm and threatening Kang, to the nervous and nimble Victor Timely. I really, really hope he does stay as this role in the MCU if he's proven innocent. Again, I will get to that later, but I have some thoughts. And this show also, something I noticed with this show is that it adds a lot more horror elements into it, such as Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes does some creepy ass shit in this show. This show also gets a lot more violent later on. Marvel is starting to get way more mature with stuff like Werewolf from Night. Secret Invasion was trying to go for a much darker tone. Star-Lord said fuck. Deadpool and Blade are going to be rated R. Echo is going to be TVMA. I love the direction that the MCU is taking in terms of like matureness in how it's progressing forward. You know, it feels like we are going to be able to have much more mature stories in the MCU now because they are starting to finally like let up and have stuff like Blade, or have stuff like Deadpool and Echo and all this. It just feels great to know that there isn't a limit on Marvel anymore. It's not like, oh, they're never going to be able to do this because Disney has it. It's like, no, Star-Lord said fuck. Star-Lord said the fuck. Deadpool's going to be cursing up a storm. Blade is probably going to be horrifying. I sort of wish that Multiverse of Madness was given this same treatment, because imagine how great Multiverse of Madness go to much more. Right now, again, I get the visuals and vibes of this show. The CGI is really good, and it's so refreshing because, yeah, Loki's development in the MCU is again one of the best. A villain, a villain who didn't really understand what his purpose in life was. Finding out that he's not the actual son of Odin, he is a Frost Titan, and so he tried to take over. So he tried to take Loki, goes through and spin. They just, I can't say it a different way. They do what they've done with Loki is phenomenal. My face itches. Did I shave right? Okay, okay. Um, and time as a concept in this show, they do some really cool things with. So Loki does this thing called time slipping, which I think is actually another result of killing He Who Remains. And Okay, so at the end of the first episode, he prunes another Loki. That's how he is able to stop the time slipping at first. And then later on, we see that Loki get pruned, and then he takes several time slips to a previous point in time. So I like it when stuff like that's done. It's sort of like in Totally Killer, a recent horror movie. One guy, the killer of the movie, actually like remembered events. Now time to discuss what's going on Marvel right now. What's going on with King? So King is supposed to be the big bad of Marvel. Um, Saga 2, whatever. However, that may change. So recent reports in Marvel um have been saying that they might be moving away from the King storyline. They might go for Doctor Doom. And it's pretty clear why they want to do this. Jonathan Majors. For those who don't know, earlier this year, Majors had gone into the accusation of had been accused of battery against his girlfriend. And as of the time of writing and recording this and editing, the trial has not yet happened. If you ask me on what happened, I think I'm sort of iffy on it. There's proof that he didn't do it, such as messages that Majors' girlfriend has sent him. But that also does beg the question of why was Majors' girlfriend in the hospital and all this police shit. He has had a violent history before, so I don't think it's. I'm just saying that it's sort of a case of where both options are very likely in this situation. It could be a situation that Majors is a piece of shit, or it could be a Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation. Oh, by the way, don't be fucking toxic about that shit in my comments. Don't come in here and say, "Oh, Amber Heard was innocent." No, she's a fucking bitch. She's a bitch. Go fuck yourselves. All right, now, um, I think we need to recast King. There is so much like already set up for King. I mean, okay, one, I mean, the entire Ant-Man post-credit scene. Yeah, Council of Kangs. What are we gonna do with that? Are we just gonna throw that away? I mean, in this show, they do mention that He Who Remains variants are still out there, and that they are actively hunting them down. They are variants. Just have the Kang that Ant-Man fought dead, and just recast the character. Just recast the guys and make it. I'm gonna just call. This movie has some pretty big setup for King Dynasty. Why move away from that just because you couldn't recast an actor? And I'm gonna call out Marvel on this shit right now. The MCU, in terms, it's noticeable. It's very noticeable. I'm not really accusing it here. The way the MCU handles black characters in recasting is very noticeable. We know what happened with Chadwick Boseman, why he unfortunately died because of cancer. And the thing is, he played a character who is very big in the MCU. So what does the MCU do? Kills the character off. Yet another character who's had a character who's less important than T'Challa, whose actor also died in real life, is getting recasted because he's not. I mean, okay, yeah, Red Hulk is pretty important. It seems like they're doing Red Hulk in um the MCU. However, I mean, if you could recast William Hurt, why not recast T'Challa? It's. I mean, the entire reason like why Rhodey got recast, that was just because there was a racist guy behind that. So it's like, okay, that we gotta oh shit, new guy. It just feels like that the MCU doesn't want to recast black characters. I mean, they've done it. They've done it with Rhodey before, and they've done it with Norton. I've noticed, but but yeah, when it Kang as a character is going to get replaced instead of recasted. I mean, I love Doctor Doom. I would love it if Doctor Doom showed up in the MCU, but to rush and sort of put together this sort of like hawkposh of just like shit. Wait, we like you guys are way too far into this to recast him. Just get the multiverse saga done with. Get Doctor Doom in there somehow, maybe after the multiverse saga. You can't just scrap the Kang storyline now. It's too late. It is way too late. Now, back to this black character thing. I don't I think it's most likely not intentional. It is probably just a coincidence. Oh, how this happens to, but it is noticeable. Again, the example with T'Challa and Thunderbolt Ross, being that Ross. I mean, again, Ross is a character who isn't as important as T'Challa is, in my opinion, and yet you're going to recast him, but kill off T'Challa. I mean, Christ, again, Rhodey was recasted. I actually don't know why Rhodey was recasted, but Marvel, a Marvel guy. I think someone was like, "Oh, they all look the same, anyways." I mean, that one was blatant racism. I do think that the others are just coincidences, but damn, Marvel, that's not a good track record to have. Anyways, Loki season 2 proves even further that Loki is just one of the best MCU projects we've had in a very long time. With its amazing character development, its fantastic direction, and the impact and emotional weight that it had was great. The things that they do for Loki's character is fantastic. It's wonderful. I love it so much. Loki is gonna get an A. Now, talk about spoilers, because I do have some thoughts here. I am very curious to see. Let me put on. I'm very curious to see what they exactly do with Loki's character here. The He is now the guy who holds the timelines, and he is he who remains now. Loki is the god of stories. And by the way, that is such a beautiful sequence. Him going through the temporal radiation, getting close to the timelines, and shedding off his suit to put on the fucking god clothes. He has such a cool design. He has such a cool cape. And the visuals during that entire thing are breathtakingly beautiful. They are so cool. I love this show. I think this is the conclusion to Loki's character arc. I hope Loki meets back with Thor. I definitely think that Loki is going to reunite with Thor in some way or another. But with the position he's in, I wonder how he will turn. Now, all right. There's just my little thoughts on it. I hope you guys did enjoy this review. One issue I did have with this show is the release. So I don't like the fact that it now comes out at like a later time. Or I don't like that it comes out at an earlier time, because before with stuff like Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and Secret Invasion, when it came out at midnight, I could just sit here and watch it and not really be bothering anyone else, because I don't really have anything I need to do at that time, right? 6 p.m. comes around and I'm watching stuff with my family, I'm playing games, I'm doing whatever. And so it made me kind of miss up on this show. I had to catch up on this show. Now, next is Marvels, which I know I did say I wouldn't be able to cover, but actually some things have changed, and I'm gonna go see the movie. I'm sort of excited for it. It doesn't look bad, but it does. Marvels doesn't. I mean, it's not gonna be Loki. I mean, it's not gonna be how phenomenal Loki was, but it does look all right. you know. I want to do some Resident Evil on the channel. I want to cover movie news, and I just hate how much limited time I have now. All right, until then, see you next time for all time, always.